So what's going on, everybody? It's Jets Central. Hopefully the lighting is somewhat okay. Anyway, coming in for a quick live stream. Going to be here for right now. It's 6:30 p.m. over here on the East Coast. Probably going to sit here for about like an hour. Okay, yeah, we got some people coming in. Going to be talking for an hour, just answering some of your guys' questions. Feel free to shoot them away, and let's talk some football. So what's up, Lance? What's up, Joe? What's up, Johnny? What's going on, man? So first question, what if Teddy starts? Okay, this is a great question. Teddy Bridgewater has had I think he's had such a good career so far in the league. For being the 32nd pick overall in the first round back in 2014 out of Louisville, he's done a lot of nice things, okay? He came in and he didn't necessarily start right away. Matt Castle was the starter at that time, but he came in, he did his thing, he won a lot of games, he completed a lot of passes, and really the Minnesota Vikings did pretty damn good under Bridgewater's tutelage. So the Vikings made the playoffs, and I don't care what anybody says, okay? The Vikings should have beat the Seattle Seahawks. Teddy did enough to win that game, so he should have a playoff victory under his belt. And for the New York Jets to sign him, I mean, of course, everyone knows his whole knee injury fiasco, but the Jets signed him at a premium. Okay, yes, there is a lot of incentives, including inside the deal, but overall, Teddy Bridgewater to the New York Jets, it's such a huge boom. Signing. Okay, this guy can come in and potentially be the franchise quarterback. Now, of course, we did draft Darnold, so that's not really the plan, and it's just kind of I would say the coaches in the front office and even the fans are just crossing their fingers that Teddy works out. But for the meantime, it's just taking a flyer on a guy who is pretty talented and has had some success, in the at the highest level of football. Adrian, what's up, man? Be spooky. What's going on? No, YouTube did not approve my monetization. I don't know why at all. For some reason, this channel can't get monetized. I've had it for around 2.5 years, and I put an application, don't have any strikes against me, and I pass all the requirements. So, it's been in review for about 5-6 months now. So I have no idea, what's happening with that. Optic S asks, do you think it will be a regret releasing Wilkerson? I'll tell you what I kind of think on that whole situation, because it's really interesting. Muhammad Wilkerson was once a fan favorite, right? From Temple, actually born in New Jersey. Everybody loved Wilkerson, right? And he comes in and he's from a 5 technique and a 3-4 defense. He's putting up nice numbers, nice pass rushing numbers. Then all of a sudden he gets hurt at the end of 2015, I believe, and nothing was the same after that. Gets hurt. Has some I don't want to say character concerns, but he was late to practice or late to meetings and whatnot. There's a lot of talk that he wasn't the best teammate at certain points, through his Jets tenure, or on that second half of his Jets tenure. So I don't necessarily think we'll miss Wilkerson. Now, I kind of say that tongue in cheek because Wilkerson does have the potential to go to Green Bay. I believe that's where he signed, and rack up, 10.5, 11 sacks, possibly, if he does play to his full potential and if healthy. So I'm going to have to wait and see on that. But as of right now, I think on paper, it was the smart move because he's getting up there in age. He's, character concerns, laughing when we're losing, not really trying. Supposedly he was kind of a diva in the locker room. So I'm all for the Jets moving on from Wilkerson, even though I loved him. What's up, Mitch? Matthew asks, let's see where we at. Matthew asks, what are my thoughts on the Monday night game with the Lions and the Jets? As a Lions fan, I have a feeling that the Jets might upset. Now, that's a great question. I actually did the season review, I think a week ago. I went through every single game of the New York Jets and kind of predicted or gave you guys my opinions on each game, and I had the Lions winning that game. Unfortunately, I think the Lions are a really good team. They have playoff potential. I think they have a lot of nice pieces on defense, even though everybody thinks the Lions is an offensive team. Okay, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, Stafford, Kerryon Johnson. I liked him coming out of Auburn. Obviously a second-round rookie this year. So I like the Lions. Okay, and with new head coach Matt Patricia coming in, I believe he's going to be an upgrade over Caldwell, but the But the problem is that I feel like the NFC North it's a really tough division. Obviously, the Minnesota Vikings, defending champs, getting better. You have Aaron Rodgers, the best player in the league for the Green Bay Packers, so you can never really count them out. And they got better. And then you look at the Bears, and they've just made so many great acquisitions. So I think the Lions are going to have to really win the games they how should I kind of phrase it? They need to beat the teams that they're better than. Okay, I know that's kind of cliche, but at the end of the day, I think the Lions need to take care of business early on. And right now, they are the favorites against the Jets week 1. What's up, Jason? What's up, Brian? I'm trying to think who will start. I'm assuming you're talking about the quarterback position. I'm going to say it's going to be I'm going to say it's Josh McCown, because I do feel like Bridgewater will be traded at some point in the preseason. You know, I don't want to wish injury upon any quarterback in the league, but it's football and injuries do happen. Okay, so if a guy goes down like Drew Brees, like Mitch Trubisky, I don't know, Andy Dalton, one of these guys, if anybody gets hurt, Teddy Bridgewater will be the number 1 quarterback kind of being talked about as trade bait. So I think Teddy Bridgewater has a pretty good shot to leave. I think if he stays, he's going to be the starter. But Josh McCown, I think being the great leader, the fans love him, the coaches love him, front office loves him. And he's coming off the best season of his career last season with the Jets. So if McCown does start, I'm not going to be pissed. Num1 Romantic says, what's up? What's going on, man? Jason Morgan, the legendary Jason Morgan, is currently in the chat. What's up, dude? Go follow him on Twitter. He posts the funniest pictures ever. Let's see. Viper says Teddy should be the starter. If he continues to dominate in training camp and whatnot, and I know minicamp is I believe starts Wednesday. Could be wrong, but I believe minicamp starts Wednesday. If he keeps continuing to grow as a quarterback and he looks fine and he looks kind of like the Teddy Bridgewater of old, I think this guy very well should start. Melvin asks, how do I feel about our wide receiving core? It's young, okay? It's young, and we don't have, a Julio, an Odell, a Jarvis Landry. We don't have that number 1 stud wide receiver. But I love Robbie Anderson. I love Terrell Pryor. He's one of my favorite receivers in the league. And we have to remember that Quincy Enunwa is coming back, okay? He's coming back from a huge injury. I believe it was a back or a neck issue. So Enunwa's coming back. I love Robbie. I like TP. And one quick thing I want to throw in there, too, is that when Terrell Pryor just had his dominant season with the Cleveland Browns a few years back as that number 1 wide receiver role, I believe Josh McCown was the quarterback of that team. So those two guys already have chemistry. Robbie Anderson had a great season last year, so I'm really excited to see how this wide receiving core kind of plays out. And I know Chad Hansen, last season he was a rookie coming out of Cal, I believe 4th-round pick. This guy everybody's been raving about Hansen so far, okay? Everybody that I've talked to, everybody that I've seen reports on, they say Chad Hansen is a stud, and he looks light years better than last season. So that's always a plus. Can't wait to see him in preseason. Let's see. Vincent asks, how many years do I think Tom Brady has left? That's a great question. You look at the New England Patriots, and there's a lot going on with them right now. It's kind of like a big tornado because you have like the ownership, and they're kind of siding with Brady. Then you have Belichick kind of on the outside looking in, but it's his job to not only coach the team, but be the general manager. So the Patriots have a lot of questions to answer within the next few seasons to kind of set this franchise up to compete with the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills, within the next 10 seasons. They did not do a good job with that by trading away guys like Jimmy Garoppolo for a 2nd-round pick and Jacoby Brissett. Okay, they didn't get enough value back for Brissett. And Brissett, he didn't look amazing with the Colts, but he looked like a viable starter or starting potential. He had starting potential. So the Patriots, the Brady situation, Belichick, Kraft, there's so much going on. But to answer your question, I'm going to say that Tom Brady has 1 year left. And that's coming from a Jets fan. So kind of take it how you want it. What's up, Adam? Johnny, man, this chat's kind of just jumping all around here. Crazy Dog's in the building. Go check him out. Diehard Browns fan. Love his content. He says, have fun with Crowell. I love Isaiah Crowell. I remember him coming out, and he was undrafted. And this guy was a beast in high school. And I think he had some off-the-field problems, and I forget where he went. I believe it was Georgia or Alabama. It was one of those top SEC schools. And then he transferred. He transferred to a smaller school, and I like Crowell. I really do. And for the time that he was the lead back in Cleveland, I always thought he did a pretty solid job. So I'm excited to see what Crowell brings to the table. And he's also pretty young. Eddie says, what running backs do you think will get most of the playing time? Great question, Eddie. I'm going to say, well, first, let me just kind of summarize the depth chart. We have Thomas Rawls, newcomer. We have Bilal Powell and Isaiah Crowell. We also have Elijah McGuire, who made a nice contribution last season, 5th-round choice out of Louisiana Lafayette last year. And then we have Trenton Cannon, too, who's going to be a rookie, I believe a 7th-round pick this season. So we have a lot of guys in the building for the running back room, but I think the lead back is going to be Crowell. I think the 3rd down back is going to be Powell, and they're going to kind of move around McGuire and Powell. And I feel like Trenton Cannon is mainly going to be on special teams and kind of hopes to work his way through the depth chart, work his way up through the depth chart. So Charles asked, will Powell make the roster? I say yes. I like Powell. We signed him to a nice deal after 2015. Chan Gailey, I feel like, did not utilize his strengths effectively in 2016, and it's kind of odd because at the end of 2015, Powell was just lights out. He was carrying this offense along with Fitz and Marshall and those guys. So let's see. Will asks, do you think Andrew Luck will make a comeback? Andrew Luck is probably one of the great mysteries of the NFL right now because when healthy, this guy has he has top 5 quarterback potential written all over him. Okay, he has a good arm, he has good size, he's mobile, he understands the game, he knows how to read a defense. Obviously, has had a great success with the Colts. You saw what he did his rookie season, just taking the worst team in the league record-wise to the playoffs. So Andrew Luck, and I will say, if he does make a comeback, he has to change his game up. He can't take these hits. And same could be said with Carson Wentz, the Eagles quarterback. He can't take these hits, especially in a division with the Houston Texans, J.J. Watt, Tyrann Mathieu. Jacksonville Jaguars, probably the number 1 defense in the league right now. Jalen Ramsey, Yannick Ngakoue. I could go down a list of how many great Jaguar defenders they have. And then the Tennessee Titans, they don't have a bad defense either, especially with Mike Vrabel coming in, new DC. Pretty much the sky's the limit for this Titans defense. Gerard Bird, Jarrell Casey. The New York Jets actually picked up Avery Williamson from the Titans. So if there's any Titans fans out there right now, let me know how you guys like Williamson. So let's see. Manny says, hey, JC, what could we get in return if Teddy is traded? That's such a great question, Manny, because it's like, and I got to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know. If I had to put like money on it, or if I had to give my best guess, I would say a 3rd round pick, but we don't really know how desperate teams are. Okay. Because you look at Sam Bradford, he was traded from the Eagles to the Vikings for, I believe, a 1st round pick and a 4th round pick. That's incredible value. Now, is Bradford worth that? No. But the reason why the Vikings did it was because they were desperate. They had a fantastic defense. They have a fantastic coaching staff. They had some nice playmakers on offense, but they did not feel like they could get the job done with the current quarterback roster. So they said, screw it. Let's just push our chips in the middle of the table and go out and get Sam Bradford, dealing away draft picks. So I don't think Teddy will get that big of a return, but I would look for a 3rd round pick, best case scenario. Now I'm hoping it's a 2nd, but my fingers are crossed on that if he does in fact get traded. So Josh says, do you think our secondary will be a top 5 DB group this year? That's a tough question. Because, you look at teams like the Jaguars, okay, they have a great secondary. But, based off the talent and on paper, I think it should be. I think we should maybe make that list around 5 or 4 if you're ranking them. Because trying to think of teams right now, I mean, on paper, you have the LA Rams. Like I said, the Jaguars. Let's see. It's a great question. Of course, you have the Denver Broncos in there as well. Chris Harris, Aqib Talib, but the New York Jets on paper, Jamal Adams, Marcus May, 2 solid rookie seasons going into year 2. So you would expect them to kind of make that sophomore jump, not the sophomore slump. We bring in Trumaine Johnson, a very underrated corner who has length and size and speed and athleticism. So he's going to come in and be that number 1 corner. So then you take Morris Claiborne and you kind of push him down the depth chart to corner number 2 or 3. That's really interesting as well, because I believe in the first part of the season last year, probably the first half of the year, Claiborne, I thought, played really well. But then kind of they started picking on him late in the season. And I don't want to say he got burned and he got worked a lot, but they were completing passes on Claiborne. So you're taking Morris, who had a solid overall season, and you're giving him less responsibility, and you're bringing in an amazing talent in Trumaine Johnson. So on paper, I'm going to say yes. So let's see. What's up, Ed? How's it going, man? He says, "Hey, JC, which interior lineman do you think I believe will break out and step up to help Leonard Williams thrive this year? We need a better pass rush to compete for a playoff spot." Thanks so much, Ed, for tuning in. I really appreciate. I always see you in the comment section showing love. Thank you so much. And to answer your question, I'm going to go with Nathan Shepard. Now, I know he's a rookie. He's a young guy. He didn't even play. He's not a D1 prospect, whatever. He has a lot of doubters. He has a lot of critics, and he has a lot of red flags. But I do believe in Shepard, okay? Watching him at the Senior Bowl, this guy did his thing out there. And I didn't really know him too well at that point when I was back in or up in Mobile. But I remember after the New York Jets watching him, and I put on one tape, and I'm like, I remember this guy. This was the guy that worked. I forget who he worked. He was doing really well against one offensive lineman. I believe it was Billy Price, or it was could have been James Daniels or Billy Price. I don't remember who it was, but Nathan Shepard was putting in work, and he was just dominant at the Senior Bowl. So I'm going to go with Shepard. I think he's kind of a man amongst boys, and it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of projects to this next level. So let's see. Dalton Dog says, "I could see the Jets going 8-8, possibly even 10-6, if some teams play. Crap the bed." Okay, so I get it, and I see your point, and I do think that's a really optimistic point of view. Okay, 10-6, I believe is. Don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love it. I'd be like, doing cartwheels outside my house. But 10-6, I think it's a little bit unrealistic to kind of put that pressure, especially on Sam Darnold. We have a young group, and I know there's a lot of fans out there that want results from Todd Bowles and this coaching staff because he's been there for a long time. Okay, Todd Bowles has been there. Yeah, he had some success in 2015, kind of dipped in 2016, and obviously last season it was kind of same sort of story as 2016. So the fans want to see results, but I'm just going to keep stressing that with this young team, I do believe that this Jets roster, we shouldn't put, as fans, we should not put a ton of pressure on this young roster to say to Sam, who's, keep in mind, only 21 years old, just turned 21, you better make the playoffs, you better go get 9 wins, 10 wins, and get a wild card spot. I think it's a little unrealistic. 8-8, that would be a fantastic season in my book. So Melvin asks, do I think Todd and Mike are on the hot seat, referring to Todd Bowles and Mike Maccagnan? I'm going to say no, but I think in 2019 they will be. You look at the moves that they made in free agency and the draft. I think you can't fire a head coach after one season. Especially if he's a defensive head coach or after one season of drafting the franchise quarterback, who they hope to be is Darnold. So I think that's just a lot to put on Darnold to kind of learn the Jeremy Bates system, then clear him out after year one, assuming that we had a failure of a season, then has to learn a brand new system. So that's 2 systems in 2 years. That's not really good. Yes, you can make exceptions for guys like Jared Goff, but when they got a guy like when you're going from Jeff Fisher to Sean McVay, the offensive jump is absolutely enormous. So yes, you could kind of look at that, but I'm going to say right now for this season, unless they're just historically bad, like 3 wins, or we get the number 1 pick next season, I think that Todd Bowles and Mike Maccagnan keep their jobs. So let's see. Gene says Trent was a 6th rounder. Great call, Gene. Appreciate it. So Jake the Snake says, what are my thoughts on Nickerson, referring to Perry Nickerson, the cornerback, who was a 6th round pick out of Tulane? Could have been a 5th round pick. I like Nickerson, right? When I watched him at Tulane, and to be honest, before the draft, I only watched one tape of him, and he seemed to be a ball hawk. And I don't know if it was the dreads, I don't know if it was the length, I don't know if it was the high pointing the football, but he's kind of reminded me a little bit of a Richard Sherman. Now, I'm not saying he is Richard Sherman. I'm not saying this guy's a top 5 quarterback, but he just seems like a really raw version of Sherman. So I do like him, and I want to see him compete, for hopefully this number 3 or number 4 cornerback spot against guys like Darryl Roberts and Jeremy Clark and Derek Jones. So around guys like that, I would like to see Nickerson kind of compete. So overall, I do like him. Mitch asks, or what's up, Brian? How's it going, man? Mitch asks, do you think Leonard Williams can get back to being a Pro Bowl player this season? I do like Leonard Williams a lot, and I think he's one of the most talented defensive linemen in the NFL, being so young. But I feel like the one knock on Leonard Williams, or the one slight on him, is that he doesn't get after the passer at a consistent level. Now, the defense that he plays in, the 3-4 kind of interior of the 3-4, whether it's the 3 technique or what, this guy is not set up to get sacks, okay? He's not set up to rush the passer. That's kind of the job of the 5 techniques, or in past seasons, Muhammad Wilkerson, Sheldon Richardson. So the defense isn't really set up for the D linemen to get sacks. It's more set up for the outside linebackers to get sacks. But I do believe Leonard will get back to being that dominant force, but he's going to need some help. He can't be the only one on that defensive line really plugging away. For any defensive lineman to be good, you have to have some help on this defensive line, unless you're just an otherworldly talent like a J.J. Watt or a Aaron Donald. But even Aaron Donald has a stacked defensive line. So NDS, do you believe fans in the football world claiming Donald has the turnover problem or has a turnover problem is actually overblown? He does have a turnover problem. When I watched him at USC, not only was the interceptions that bothered me, but it was the fumbles. And the fumbles, it's not like he's getting stripped from behind. It's being careless with the football, one hand on it, taking his front left hand off of the football, and really just careless with it. And I think he makes I don't want to say dumb decisions, but I think he's almost too confident to where I know I could fit it in. And that gets him into trouble. I mean, you've seen quarterbacks have great success doing that. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, just the gunslingers, Phillip Rivers, Tony Romo. But then you see some quarterbacks fail doing that, and they just always have thrown more interceptions than touchdown passes, or, being able to look like a competent quarterback. But both have that same mindset. And, Patrick Mahomes has that mindset as well, even though the numbers don't really reflect that. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's overblown. I'm just going to say it's a concern, and we have to kind of keep an eye on it and monitor it. So Chris asks, do you think Eli will be a solid starting running back in 2 years? It's going to be tough because of the current running back room of the New York Jets, because he has some guys in front of him, like Powell, like Crowell. So it's going to be interesting. And even Thomas Rawls, too. I mean, Thomas Rawls was a guy, I know he was pretty big in fantasy and stuff a few years back with the Seahawks. But I think McGuire's going to have to work his way up the depth chart, and I just don't know if there's going to be enough time. So I do think he's a good back, and I do like him a lot. But as far as him being like a David Johnson, a Le'Veon Bell, or even like a top 10 back, I'm not really too sure. So let's see. Richard asks, what's your most prized piece of Jets merch? That's a great question. I've never even been asked that before. I'm trying to look around. Yeah, I got this stuff. I got a Jets helmet, like an authentic Jets helmet somewhere. I actually see it. Yeah, that's it. It's up in the closet right now. I love that thing. I've had it for a long time. It's kind of the shrine in my house right now. So I've always loved that. And then, of course, my Joe Namath autograph picture, which I have right here. I've had that for a long time, even though the autograph is really like hazy looking. So I'd probably say those 2 items. Great question, by the way. So let's see. Rex says Crowell, most likely, but I like Powell. I definitely have to agree with you, Rex. I like Crowell's power. I like his ability to run in between the tackles. He does have speed. Crowell's I think Crowell is kind of written off as a slow power back, like a LeGarrette Blount, like a almost like a DeMarco Murray now. But I think when you look at Crowell, this guy has some moves to him. And I would say a guy that plays in a similar skill set of Crowell is Carlos Hyde, but without the pass catching abilities. So let's see. Shane says tight end situation. All I hear is unproven Herndon and Leggett. No love for Clive Walford. Shane, that's a great point. I've heard nothing but the same stuff, and it makes me question what's happening right now with Walford. But then I kind of have to take a step back, pump the brakes, and sit here and say to myself, minicamp hasn't started yet. Let me wait until preseason, training camp, and all this stuff rolls around to see how good Walford actually is. But on paper, Walford has the most experience, and he's had the most success, at the NFL level so far. So I would say Walford right now should be the starter. But Leggett and Herndon, both of those guys are, and even Bucky Hodges too, second-year man out of Virginia Tech, 6th-round pick, I believe, 2 years ago or 1 year ago. But anyway, all three of those guys are pretty athletic, right? They're more pass-catching tight ends, whereas Walford is more of a blocking tight end. So they can mix and match those guys. Adam says, should we start or trade Teddy? That's I feel like that's going to be the age-old question of the New York Jets, kind of off-season or preseason, right? Before the regular season actually starts. It's going to be a big debate. Should we keep him? Should we trade him? Because if he does well and we trade him and he does well, we could be kicking ourselves. But if the New York Jets trade him and we get a pick back that could turn into a great player, that could be really beneficial for the Jets, especially considering that we invested the 3rd pick in the draft in Sam Darnold, who plays the same position as Bridgewater. So I would say if the New York Jets get a solid offer for Teddy, for Theodore, I would deal him. But I love Bridgewater. I'm not like hoping that he gets traded. I'm just saying if a 1st-round pick comes along, if a 2nd-round pick gets offered, I might pick up the phone and start negotiating there. Num1 Romantic says Joe Namath football card versus Indy 1972, 500 yards on 15 completions. That's absolutely incredible, especially back in the 70s. 500 yards is a lot today. Okay, you look at guys like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. Those are all guys that have thrown for 500 yards, before in their career. But that's in like this pass-happy, more of a shootout style of game. 15 attempts or 15 completions, I should say, 500 yards back then is absolutely incredible. Back in the early 70s. Let's see. What's up, Anthony? How's it going, man? Stay thirsty, my friend. Says, do we stick with Todd Bowles or do we get an offensive-minded head coach for Darnold? That's a great question, and that's a question that I believe will be I could give you a better answer or a more clear answer probably halfway through the season. I need to see how they handle Darnold. Are they going to throw him out there to the Wolves and say, go save the franchise? It's all on you. Kind of like they did with Geno Smith and a little bit Mark Sanchez. But even Sanchez had a stacked team. Okay, and it was like a rookie head coach, and there was like a lot of hype, and nobody really saw the defense, and nobody really saw the offensive system under Schottenheimer. So this is a weird situation, something that the Jets haven't really found themselves in a while now. So because the coach might be on the hot seat, but the quarterback is pretty much going to have as much time as he needs. So will this coaching staff try to save their asses really and force this kid out there and say, hurry up and go save the franchise. So, and really save us while we're at it. What's up, Brian? What's up, Manny? What's up, Brandon? What's up, Wicked Ass? What do you think are the fair expectations for Marcus May and Jamal Adams in year 2? I'm going to say pretty high. And I'm not saying that to be, we're going to have a top 5 secondary or anything like that. But what I am saying is Marcus May at the free safety position and Jamal Adams from the strong safety position, I believe they showed me a lot. They showed me tons and tons of great things last season. Okay, they put together tremendous tape, being able to ball hawk, being able to help and stop in the run game, being able to get to sideline pretty quickly. And this isn't really like a fantasy stat. You're not going to see it like in the box score or anything like that. But Jamal Adams and Marcus Maye, both coming from the SEC, have very high defensive IQs. Todd Bowles' system is pretty complex. So you take a 21-year-old, 22-year-old in Jamal Adams and you plug him in, and he has to now be the leader, not only on the field, being this leader, like I said, on the field for this defense, but he's also the vocal leader off the field. He's riling the guys up. He's the engine at practice. So I expect a lot from Jamal Adams, and I know Marcus and Jamal both expect a lot from themselves via their Twitters, because Jamal Adams tweets some crazy cool things like, I will never miss another Pro Bowl guaranteed, all that cool stuff. It just gets me hyped up for the year. So let's see. Jesse asks, who is your early pick for offensive and defensive rookie of the year? Now, that's a great question. And I'm actually going to be going on to my buddy UCF Jaguars place in Orlando, probably sometime late June or early July. And we're going to be doing all those. We're going to be predicting the Super Bowl. We're going to be predicting the division winners and all the awards. So like offensive player of the year, comeback player, all that stuff, coach of the year. But to answer your question, I would say my early picks. Damn. Okay, so you asked for the rookies. I'm going to go offensive rookie of the year. I'm going to go with man, it's such a tough question. I'm going to go with I kind of want to say one of the quarterbacks, but I just don't know who's going to start when. I don't want to say Lamar Jackson. I don't want to say Josh Allen and then him have to sit out 11 games. So it's kind of tough in that aspect. But trying to remember the draft order, I don't know. That's a great question. I'm going to come back to it. Philly 500 is in the building. Shout out to Philly 5. Go check out his YouTube channel. Go check out his Twitter. Fantastic YouTuber, diehard Eagle fan, diehard Sixer fan, Phillies fan, all that good stuff. Go check him out. He's hilarious. He's actually a great friend. He says Jamal Adams is a stud. And Philly says his prediction for offensive rookie of the year is Saquon Barkley. Now, that's a great choice, obviously, because he's the running back. Okay, so he's going to rack up a lot of yards. He's going to come in and start. It's a position of need. The Giants increase their offensive line strength, and he's also he can help out in special teams and in the pass catching game of the offense. So Saquon Barkley, he's definitely, I would say, probably the favorite so far to win offensive rookie. So great call by Philly. Katie Allen says down by 3. So he's giving a scenario. Down by 3, 1 second on the clock. Touchdown wins the game. Who do you trust most in your Hail Mary TD? Wayne Corbett, Keyshawn Johnson, or Al Toon? Katie, that's a great question. I'm only 23, so I didn't really watch Al Toon. And Keyshawn Johnson, I remember him with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When I think of Keyshawn, I think of the Bucs. I don't really think of the Jets, unfortunately, even though I have like a Keyshawn Johnson jersey somewhere around here. It's like the size of my hand because I was a baby. But I'm going to go with Wayne Corbett because Corbett always showed toughness when he played. Wayne Corbett always showed mental fortitude. I feel like he just had a wherewithal for the game. He never would drop passes. He was always reliable, third downs, short passing, whether he's on the outside or on the inside. Corbett can always make the plays when his number was called. So I'm going to go Corbett. But one thing I will say about that question, where are we on the field? Because if we're in the red zone, it's Corbett all day. Keyshawn Johnson, I'm thinking maybe if you want to stretch the field deep. But then you'd have to assume that they're probably in a prevent defense. So I don't know. So Albino Place says, what is your favorite NBA team? I'm going to go with the Brooklyn Nets. And I don't like the NBA as much as I like the NFL. The NFL, college football, all that stuff, I love it. Okay, I love football. But basketball is actually my third favorite sport. I like baseball second. But in basketball, it's the Brooklyn Nets. And I'm not a super diehard Brooklyn Nets, but I do root for them. I like their team, and I like how they're kind of the underdog in New York. Obviously, the big brother being the Knicks. So, real quick thing I want to mention to everybody. We got 76 people in the chat right now. That's absolutely incredible. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I didn't even think it'd get this much or get this many people in the chat at one time. So, absolutely incredible. I really appreciate it. But what I was going to touch on before about the NBA thing was the NBA draft. I'm going to be live streaming that on my buddy's channel. So I'm actually going to post a video probably 3 days before the NBA draft, letting you guys know what channel to go to if you want to kind of hear my thoughts and hear my buddy's thoughts on the NBA draft, right? So live reactions, all that stuff. I did it for the NFL. Going to be live streaming with a different friend, and it's going to be great. So he's a diehard NBA fan, and that channel is actually called Backcourt Violation. So go check that out. Brand new to YouTube, and yeah, so should be a great time. Katie Allen, the 20-yard line in August. I would say have Corbett on the inside and have him run a post route. Have the quarterback. I'm assuming at that point it'd either be probably Testaverde. Have him drop back, 5-step drop back under center, looking to his left. 2 on the right, 1 on the left, drops back, and then comes back as he looks off that safety, comes right back and hits Corbett right in the middle of the end zone for a post. That's my dream, to answer your question. Dan Greco says, do you think third-round pick defensive tackle can start? Nathan Shepard. I do believe Nathan Shepard will be able to start or will have a opportunity to start, because you look at a guy like Muhammad Wilkerson, a guy who left, and the door is open. The door is open for that 5 technique, that defensive end spot, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Will Nathan Shepard take Leonard Williams' place, and will Leonard move out to that 5 technique and let him go after the passer a little bit more? So gonna be crazy. That's actually gonna be one of my main storylines I'm gonna be focusing on, once training camp hits, once preseason hits, and all that good stuff. So I do believe he can start. So let's see. David Medor says, who's your all-time favorite Jets receiver? His is Lavernius Coles. Loved his toughness. All-time favorite Jets receiver. There's so many of them. And by the way, Lavernius Coles that's incredible. I loved Coles watching him play. Even with the Bengals, I liked watching him. I'm going to say, and Coles is actually, I believe, went to Florida State too, and that's my home state. I love Santana Moss because I just loved his game, even though he was more of a Redskin than a Jet. I liked Santana. Those few seasons with Braylon Edwards, I just loved Braylon. Yes, he had a case of the drops every once in a while, but he would always make the play. I'll never forget when he caught that slant, 2010, 2011, AFC divisional round against the Patriots. Slant, dragging Patriots into the end zone, and just flexes his muscles. I will never forget that. So I'm going to go Braylon Edwards, even though he wasn't like a Jet for 10 years. So the Wicked says, is hockey a sport you follow? And if so, who's the team I like? I actually don't follow hockey right now, but I was going to post a video probably later on in the summer. And I guess it's just a quick little spoiler now. I want to get into hockey. I love how aggressive the sport is. I always like contact sports, and I like how hockey, it's kind of like if you mix soccer, football, and then wintertime. Like that's kind of how I always thought of it. And I want to get into hockey, but I don't really know the rules, and I don't really know the history and which fan base, the fan bases and the culture of the NHL teams. So I want to get into it. I want to pick a team, but I don't want to be like a front runner. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm a fan of the Vegas Knights, anything like that. So I want to pick a team, but I want to get your guys' opinion on it and really fill me in on who are kind of like the underdog teams in the sport. So I don't follow it right now, but I do want to get into it for next year. Let's see. And by the way, if I'm not answering all the questions, the chat, I don't know why the chat is like this. It kind of just jumps all around here. So let's see. Breen agrees with me. He says Braylon Edwards. Eddie says, JC, do you follow hockey or soccer? I just talked about the hockey, but the soccer, I don't really follow soccer too much. I love playing it, even though I get gas probably in the first 20 minutes. I'm just like shot. I'm just totally out of breath. But it's really fun to play. And obviously I know the main premise, score goals, but as far as like the red card, yellow card, I don't really know what any of that stuff really is. I'm more of a football, baseball, basketball kind of guy. Melvin asks, when does the Jets Central Jets merch come out? Right. So I made a few Jet Central shirts. Pretty awesome. Like I loved setting it up and everything like that, but I only made 12. I don't really have that much money to kind of to fund that consistently. So I kind of have to go in spurts. But right now I have a few merch ideas, a couple layouts, a couple designs that I'm going to be right now shooting for releasing in the fall. And one, I don't know if I should bring back the original shirt or if I should change it up a little bit. And then I was thinking about a long sleeve shirt, like a gray long sleeve with maybe a logo on the front and the back, and then a hoodie too. So the hoodie is definitely what I'm most looking forward to. But I kind of have to scrounge up a little cash to kind of put that in to kind of get it back out. So I'll let everybody know when and where you can get JC merch. And by the way, if anybody was thinking about that, Melvin, I would never even have thought of like somebody actually wearing like a shirt of mine. Like that blows me away. And I'm just so thankful for everybody that even thought about that. So Salem Official says Coles, LOL. Yeah, Lavernius Coles, he was a stud. Albino Plays says, check out my channel. It's pretty cool. Dude, for sure, right after this live stream, I'll go check it out. Everyone, go check them out. So Caesar N says, I think I'm going to start my own Titans channel. Bro, do it. This YouTube channel has changed my life. I love every minute of it. I love interacting with you guys. I love posting videos. I love staying up, watching film, and then giving you guys my thoughts, recapping games, previewing games, game picks, all that stuff. Do it. If you don't really feel comfortable with a certain aspect, all it takes is practice. I mean, I know a lot of YouTubers out there take down their original videos and stuff because it's not the quality that it is today. But I left mine up, just as kind of like a constant reminder to me of kind of how I did things before, and that was 2.5 years ago. And for anybody that's wondering how I kind of started up, you guys could just go feel free to go back there and check those out, because the content, or it was just a lot different. Just filming like in a phone, like vertically like this, not like horizontally. The audio was bad, not really anything that that's special. So I'm shocked that I was able to pick up steam, and throughout the years, I just kind of changed everything up a little bit. This is actually a new setup. This is I guess the first unveiling of it, even though it looks pretty much the same as the old one. But yeah, man, I would definitely make that channel. And if you do, send me the link and I'll check it out, and I'll sub you up. So let's see. Shane, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I don't want to ruin or butcher it. So Shane D says, I think Anderson until Shep gets up to the NFL speed. I think he's saying. Yeah, man, that's a great point. Katie says, do you play Madden at all? Any plans to get Madden 19? My brother actually picked up Madden 18 last year with Tom Brady, or it was like Gronkowski or Tom Brady on the front, something like that. I taped a picture of Josh McCown on the front of the Madden cover because I thought it'd be pretty funny for the Jets fans on Twitter. And I'm not that big of a Madden player, but I do have Xbox, and my buddy Dalton, the UCF Jaguar, is getting an Xbox. So me and him were kind of talking about it the other day. If it would be cool for me and him to play and then stream that game, me versus him in Madden. So, but I mean, on offense, I like to think I'm pretty good, but the defense, I can't stop a nosebleed as far as Madden goes. So, Bulls fan says, I love Cotchery. Dude, Jericho Cotchery was such a stud. He was one of the most undervalued Jets that I've ever watched. So, Breen Machine says, Santonio was a beast, man. God, so many good memories with Santonio and Braylon Edwards. Santonio Holmes, I had his jersey, but I gave it to my buddy, or I traded it for something. I forget what it was. Let's see. Yeah, again, I apologize for this thing jumping all around. It's like, I go to scroll, and all of a sudden it like just jumps down or jumps up. So let's see. Aspiring filmmaker Holly says, "Do you think the Jets will seriously address the offensive line in the next offseason?" I do believe so. Because you look at the Jets as a team. They have the defense. They have what they hope to be as a quarterback. They have a nice little stable at the running back position, and really the only positions or units, I should say, of need is wide receiver and offensive line. So I think we have to protect the franchise quarterback, which is Darnold. Now Darnold is bigger. Darnold doesn't really get hurt, and he's more durable. But that doesn't mean let's just neglect it. So I believe the New York Jets have to address the offensive line. Take a look at guys like Greg Little from Ole Miss, former, I believe, #1 player in high school. So that's who I would kind of be targeting early on in the process. There was another one too. I forget his name at this, like right now, the name's not coming to me, but I remember he played at Washington. Trey Adams. Trey Adams is the name. Adams is a stud, and I feel like if Adams, I think he's going to be a top 10 pick. He would have been a top 10 pick this season if he declared for the draft, but he went back to school. Jesse says, "Do you play Fortnite?" Yes, I do play it. It's pretty fun. I feel like I have pretty good like the gun skills, but the building skills, I'm just atrocious at it. So I like to play squads and stuff like that. Let's see. Don't do it yourself says, "Pick a year the Jets win a Super Bowl. Hopefully this year. That'd be incredible. But realistically, I'm gonna say in 3 to 5 seasons, the Jets should have a roster that's capable of getting to the Super Bowl, especially considering that the Patriots might be kind of trending down at that point." Let's see. Nick M says, "Madden is terrible. Don't get it." Yeah, I preferred Madden 07, with like Sean Alexander and like with Ray Lewis on the front and, the older Maddens. The older Maddens were so much fun. These newer Maddens, they're kind of like, they're harder to control. I don't really like it so much. And they have just so much going on with like audibles and stuff like that. I feel like get this, I feel like it'd be easier to call a game in person than it is like on Madden, with the controller. Like you got so many buttons and stuff to do different things. I don't know. I just preferred it like when it was simpler. James Plunkett says, "Who would you compare Sam Darnold to?" I would say it's tough. As far as a pro comparison, what you kind of expect, sorry, I'm kind of have a runny nose, but what you kind of expect as far as results, I would say Tony Romo. I think he's gonna have a similar style of play as Tony Romo, kind of a magician, makes incredible throws that guys like Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers can't make, but then come back and with a kind of like a bonehead decision and be like, "Sam, what are you doing? Like, what did you see here? What's happening?" So I'm gonna go Tony Romo. But I also kind of see him, adding on to that answer. I could also see him being like a Jameis Winston, like a guy who is going to throw for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns, but it's going to have a lot of turnovers. But he can make plays on his, on the run with his feet, maneuver the pocket, and really just be able to lead the guys. Obviously, two different styles of leadership, but it is what it is. So let's see. J Cam Man 99 says, "Give an unbiased opinion. If you can, Darnold or Allen, which quarterback is better?" I'll say this. I think Darnold's better for the Jets, and I think Allen is better for the Bills. If I was starting a franchise, Jay, you put me on the spot. If I was starting a franchise, I think I would be a little bit more comfortable with Josh. And I know that might not sit well with the Jets fans, but I think the people that are afraid of Josh Allen are a little insecure about their coaching abilities because this guy has every tool in the book. And it's not like this guy gets in trouble off the field. It's not like this guy is going to, just kind of screw around at practice. He's not just going to BS the studying the game plan. He's really going to work hard. Okay. I think Josh and Sam are both hard workers. I just feel like with Josh, maybe there's a little bit more that you can work with. And I also like how Josh is coming from a traditional pro style system under Craig Ball at Wyoming. Let's see. Don't do it to yourself says, "#1 pick in next year's draft." That's a tough call. That's a really tough call. I'm going to go with Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa, they say he's a lot like Joey, but I feel like that's such an easy comparison. Why? Because they're brothers. They play at the same school. They're the same position. I haven't really watched too much Nick Bosa, but I do know he's being talked about right now as a top 5 pick. I also want to throw in the name Clayton Thorson, quarterback from Northwestern, a guy who I'm really high on. And overall, I really like his production and his overall skill set, his potential under Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern. Frank's in the building. What's going on, Frank? Thanks for stopping in. And no problem, dude. You don't have to apologize for being late. It's all good, man. Daniel Berlin says, Quincy Enunwa, comeback player of the year. Bro, in a perfect world, that sounds amazing. I just feel like, and I don't want like the Jets fans to kind of take this the wrong way, but I feel like when guys who missed last season, like Andrew Luck and David Johnson, are going to be playing this season, I feel like it's going to be hard to top those guys just because of the positions they play and how big of a stars they already are. So I feel like it's going to be a huge kind of leap to kind of or I don't even know, whatever, bridge to hurdle, space to hurdle, whatever that saying is. So let's see. Infinite 2000. We need a nickname for Darnold. Any suggestions? I don't know, but some guy tweeted to me the other day it was a picture of Sam Darnold, and it was right next to a picture of what's his name, Gordon Ramsay, that the famous chef. So maybe the chef. I feel like that'd be a pretty cool name because they have like the same hairstyle. Frank says Sam the Man. James says, do you think Todd Bowles will be our coach after next season? That's such a tough question because it's like, what's going to happen with this offense? Because I think the defense played, given the circumstances, tremendously well last season. I really do believe in this defense. And in a perfect world, I really wish that Todd Bowles could get demoted to defensive coordinator. Now that won't happen. That's just not how it's just not how the NFL works. It doesn't really work like that, okay? But in a perfect world, I would love to see Todd Bowles as defensive coordinator. And maybe a guy like Matt LaFleur coming in, or even my guy John DeFilippo, the offensive coordinator for the Vikings, who I believe will get a head coaching gig. I guarantee it after this season. And then Matt LaFleur, the offensive coordinator for the Titans, first-year guy who worked under Sean McVay. Really creative play caller, a younger guy, progressive thinker, and I like his overall West Coast system. But then again, Jeremy Bates kind of will be running the same style because they're all kind of branched they're all under the same tree. Let's see. Yeah, all these questions they all kind of jump around real quick. But real quick, I want to mention this. Oh, no, hold on one sec. I have to answer this question. Elijah says the opinion of the Browns. Okay, so this is a question that I actually get asked a lot, and it's weird because I'm not a Browns fan. I don't really pull for the Cleveland Browns. I'm not like rooting for them, and I'm not from Ohio or anything like that. But I do have a soft spot for the Browns because I for whatever reason I like the underdog teams. I like teams that kind of get picked on by national media and stuff. And the Browns went out and made some huge moves, getting Tyrod Taylor, drafting Baker Mayfield, drafting Denzel Ward, number 4 overall. They picked some great players. And not to mention they traded for Jarvis Landry, who is a stud. Josh Gordon's a top 5 wide receiver in my book if he could stay like clean off the field. I love Josh Gordon. I love his skill set. I view him as a slower Julio Jones. He is athletic as hell. He's just a great player. So I like the direction that the Browns are heading in, but I would not I know the Browns are starved for kind of success and to turn the ship around, but I wouldn't throw Baker Mayfield out there. Just be like, okay, Baker, go save the franchise. Same deal with Darnold. I would personally let Tyrod go out there and play. Okay, I think Tyrod is a good starting quarterback. He knows how to take care of the football. He's a starting caliber quarterback, and he's won some games. And he did, in fact, make the playoffs last year with the Bills. Jesse asks, "What's the best sports game you've ever watched?" That's such a great question. I'm gonna go with the AFC divisional round, 2010, 2011, when the Jets beat the Patriots in New England. Now, I know that's not like an all-time game or anything like that, but in the eyes of the Jets or Jets fans, that is a great game, along with the Monday Night Miracle. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go those teams. Or those games. Excuse me. So Daniel says Bland Sam. That's a pretty good nickname too. I like that one. Let's see. Salem says the Sam Chies. Oh, well, that one's pretty damn good too. I like that one a lot, man. Let's see. Johnny Dunn says Njoku. Yeah, Njoku, former first-round pick out of Miami. I loved him coming out of Miami. Super athletic, can high point the football, can get downfield. I like him a lot. Richard says, what would your TD celebration be? I'm not a big celebration guy. I'd probably just take the ball and give it to a kid, like what Cam Newton does. Or if I was like in an away stadium, I think I would like whatever, shush the crowd or something like that. I always thought that was pretty cool. I don't like the cheesy like duck goose things and stuff like that, or like like the hide and go seek. I'm more of like a traditional and like I like some stuff like Ocho Cinco's like Irish dance and stuff. So all that stuff was cool, but I don't know, just like this whole team celebrations. I don't know. I don't think I'd be with it. I'm not like against it or anything like that, but I don't think I'd be out there, prancing around like that. So let's see. Let's see. Preston says, who do I think the starting receivers will be? Also, how many years do you think it'll take Darnold to start? I think we're going to see Darnold this year at some point. Whether McCown starts or not, McCown has had or shown us a history of him getting hurt. So I think Darnold will be this year. And then to answer the first part of your question, I think the starting receivers will be Terrell Pryor, Robbie Anderson, Jermaine Kearse, with Quincy Enunwa playing more of a tight end salad position. Let's see. John says nickname the Red Baron. That's pretty damn cool, especially if he lets it fly. And just the New York Jets turn into like a air raid team, like the Lions or the Saints or the Falcons. That'd be sick. Don't do it to yourself says thoughts on Patrick Mahomes. Not as high on Mahomes as a lot of people. Okay, I liked him at Texas Tech, but I don't think he's just like. I don't think he's a. I think he's going to go through some turmoil or some struggles a little bit. But I will say this in Pat's defense, he has a great quarterback, or he has a great coaching staff for quarterback development. He has the offensive weapons: Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. The running back position, Kareem Hunt, he's an emerging star. Then the defense is pretty solid as well. And the Broncos, you don't really know what you're going to get with them. I love the Chargers, and the Raiders are going to be bouncing back. So somewhat of a tough division, but Mahomes has everything at his disposal, and it's really dependent on Mahomes whether or not he can play. I think that's what's going to what's going to make or break the Chiefs this year. Do you know or heard of EDP? Yeah, I do know him. He's a pretty funny guy. I don't know him personally, but I've seen his videos. Which Jet will be a surprise this season? I'm going to go Terrell Pryor. I think Terrell Pryor is a really underrated wide receiver. I think he showed a lot of flashes during his time with Cleveland, especially that year. I believe it was back in 2016, where he spent some time with McCown and Cody Kessler throwing on the football. Yeah, it was 2016. I'm going to go TP. So let's see. RJ MacPot 720 says, what was the maddest the Jets? If yes, what was the maddest the Jets got you? That it's tough, man, because like I don't really get mad after games. I just get disappointed. Probably, back in 2015 when we lost in Buffalo, when like Brandon Marshall and Ryan Fitzpatrick were like joking around before the game, like in the week leading up to it, like saying like, "Oh, it's going to be great playing on our first playoff game." and I don't want to say they jinxed us, but just not performing on Sunday against the Bills, which is a must-win game. Win and you're in. And we just took it for granted, and we lost that game, and the rest is history. Pick a wide receiver: Ardarius Stewart or Chad Hansen. I like them both. I think they both have different skill sets. I feel like Hansen is more of a reliable, third down wide receiver who he's going to catch the ball. He doesn't have great speed. He doesn't have great size. He doesn't have great separation, but he's really reliable and he has fantastic hands. Whereas Ardarius Stewart is more like a Percy Harvin style of wide receiver, a guy who you can utilize in like the trick game, right? Like reverses, screens, getting him the football, wildcats. So I like them both. Preston says, love your vids. Thanks for answering my questions. Smiley face. Dude, no problem at all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Abdullah says, Jets, did you hear about Julio Jones holding out and jet up? I did hear about that. I actually heard about that like half hour before I started this live stream. Kind of disappointed. I like Julio Jones a lot. And, I sit here and I try to kind of see where they're coming from. These guys are going to be holding out. But I really feel like you should just honor your contract that you sign. If you sign a rookie deal and you're just or sign a second deal, right? So after your rookie deal, I feel like you should kind of stick with that rookie deal and not hold out, because at that point in time, the team showed that they wanted you back, and you showed that you want to remain with that team. So you came to an agreement. I don't think, I don't know. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if it was because Revis did it to us, but whatever. Is this true for the most part? New York Giants fans equals Yankees fans. New York Jets fans equals Mets fans. I would probably say so. Now, I'm not from New Jersey. I'm not from New York, so I'm not really up there consistently. I've only been up there a handful of times. But overall, I would say, for the most part, that's pretty true. All the Mets fans I know are Jets fans. And really all the Giants fans I know are Yankees fans. Nick says, you think Andrew Luck will play again? I was talking about this a little bit before earlier on in the live stream. It's actually one of the first questions. And I love Andrew Luck. Okay, I love his size. I love his arm strength, his intelligence, his tangible skills, right? So like his ability to move and extend plays, and just his overall ability to work and dance around in the pocket. But this is really scary. What he's dealing with, as rumor is he hasn't thrown a football. Like that's concerning, And I just love the pickup by Chris Ballard to get Jacoby Brissett. What a fantastic move by him. Mark says, hey JC, what do you think of the Jets offensive line? Do you think they've improved, or do we keep our fingers crossed again this year? I think we improved on the interior, right? So Spencer Long, I think he's going to be an upgrade over Wes Johnson, and I'm hoping that the center position will then make everybody else around him better. So I don't necessarily think we completely fixed it, but I do like where we're heading. So Paul says, early playbook for Sam Darnold: more game manager plays or more open gunslinger plays? Paul, that's a great question. I'm going to say keep it simple, keep it short, and play to Sam's strengths. If Sam feels comfortable in the short passing game, do that. If Sam feels comfortable throwing it deep consistently, do that. Don't make Sam feel uncomfortable and question his confidence, question his abilities, and really just second guess there out on the field. Because Sam Darnold, one thing I loved about Darnold at USC is his ability to not only improvise, but to trust his gut. So I think if Sam Darnold starts to kind of sink back and starts to not trust himself, I think it would just be a train wreck. So I would say whatever Sam is more comfortable doing. So I hope that makes sense. New Jack City, awesome name. He says, when do you see Tom Brady retiring, and do you think the Jets can lock the division and be a playoff team year in, year out? I'm gonna say Tom Brady has one more year left, and I say that pretty confidently. But then again, Belichick, Brady doesn't get hit, okay? Brady falls down when he's about to get hit. And Bill Belichick's system, the three-step drop back, short passing game, ball is out of your hand. Tom Brady doesn't get hit. Everybody talks about his like off-season workout regimen, but the guy's never getting hit. Cam Newton is going to have to retire probably 5 years before Tom. Cam Newton has so much life taken out of his NFL career. Okay, just because of the amount of hits he's kind of endured throughout his career. Tom Brady has never really gotten smacked really. So I think Brady will probably retire in one season because all it takes is one shot. You know. Mystique says, yes, Brady lays down like Eli Manning. Yeah, dude. And of course, you have some older quarterbacks that do that, like Eli, Brady, and then Drew Brees. Drew Brees does that as well. And then you have some older quarterbacks like Phillip Rivers, who just stand in there and take a hit. Tony Romo would stand in there and take a hit. Same with Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger would sit there and really look down the gun barrel and deliver nice throws. Can we throw the Tom Brady retirement party at your place? Dude, I think the day Tom Brady retires, or better yet, Bill Belichick retires or moves on from New England, I think there's going to be a party. I think MetLife is going to be rocking as a whole, so I'll probably see you there. Bill says, JC, it's an honor and a pleasure to talk to you live, bro. Dude, thank you so much for tuning in, man. That means the world to me. I appreciate every single person in the chat right now watching this, whatever, giving it a thumbs up, any of you guys. Okay, it's just the absolute best, and I'm living a dream right now. So Philly 500 is actually still in the stream. If you guys don't know him, go check him out. Awesome YouTuber, diehard Eagle fan. He said, I missed some of this earlier, but how long do you think, or how long before you think Sam Darnold starts? I'm going to go 8 to 9 weeks in the season. I think Josh McCown, with a better offensive line, without John Morton, with a guy in Terrell Pryor coming in and a better overall defense, I think Josh McCown can hold down the fort for 8 to 9 weeks. Granted, it's barring any injury. So Pigskin Pete's in the building. What's going on, Pigskin? He says, what's up, JC? Pigskin Pete, another one of my favorite YouTubers out there. Diehard Panther fan, diehard Clemson fan. Pretty much knows the ins and the outs about college football, everything you need to know. And it's not just about Clemson, ACC, SEC, Pac-12, Big 10, Big 12, even Group of 5. Pigskin Pete knows it all. Go check him out if you guys haven't already. So Danny Wu says Rex Ryan was her best head coach ever. I like Rex Ryan a lot. I still have some love for Rex Ryan, even though he went to Buffalo. So let's see. I'm gonna answer probably around 5 more questions, and yeah. So let me want to get some good ones here. Jonathan Ross says, will Rawls make the cut? Jonathan, that's a great question because you look at the running back depth chart and there's so many guys to go around. Trenton Canton, Elijah McGuire, Bilal Powell, Isaiah Crowell. But Rawls has had success in the NFL, okay? Running to the outside, running to the inside. He's had some success. He's been around a winning program like the Seahawks. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say he barely makes the roster. And real quick, I want to, in between questions here, I want to say this. Got 72 people in the building watching. That's absolutely incredible. But I know it's been a little slow lately. I've just been kind of busy with school and certain stuff. But overall, this off season, this upcoming season, expect so much content, right? I cannot wait to really just pump out 5 to 6 videos per week when football season starts. Preseason, I got a lot of great stuff planned, such as Sam Darnold film reviews after each preseason game. Probably going to be breaking down the films of Baker Mayfield, Allen, Lamar, all those guys, all the young quarterbacks, really doing film reviews on them. So that's all going to be great. Got a trip planned up to go to Orlando, team up with my buddy Dalton, UCF Jaguar, to make collab on some videos and stuff like that, like Super Bowl winner, AFC East, all the division winners, all that stuff, and then the awards, who's going to win MVP, offensive rookie, comeback player, all that stuff. So I do have some stuff planned, but it's just kind of in the off season, it's just kind of you kind of have to spread everything out a little bit. So let's see. Let's see. Pat says, who is your current favorite Jet on offense and defense? His are Adams and Powell. I'm going to say mine on offense is Terrell Pryor and Robbie Anderson. I really like those players. And then on defense, I'm going to go with Jamal Adams and Trumaine Johnson. Let's see. Frank is peacing out later. Frank, thanks so much for stopping in. I'll catch you later, buddy. Anthony says, are you going to go to training camp? That would be incredible. That's actually a possibility that I could maybe explore. You know, I'm gonna have to scrounge up some cash for it though to get up there. But that'd be so much fun. I've never been before, and I heard like the access and the interaction is just fantastic. Plus all the Jets fans being up there. That sounds really, really fun. And you know, I definitely have to look into that. Let's see. Bill says, I got to talk to Michael Vick during training camp once. Yeah, man, like my buddy Dalton, he goes to all the Jaguar training camps and he has like jerseys signed and like these pictures signed and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, this is absolutely like, that's nuts. Like, you know, being from Florida, I don't really have like Jets stuff going on. So that's just crazy. So I definitely have to make it up there at some point. Jonathan says, thanks for answering my question. Bro, no problem. Thank you so much for stopping in and asking a question, man. I love doing this stuff. So Sam says, next great quarterback to retire. I'm going to say Tom Brady. I'm going to go Tom Brady. I think Brady retires first, then Roethlisberger, or then Eli, then Roethlisberger. I think Roethlisberger still has a lot of good ball left in him. Where I feel like with Tom Brady, he's kind of one hit away. Same with Eli Manning. But Eli Manning's production has kind of been nosediving in the past few seasons, especially without OBJ. Chris Bragan says, surprise Jets trade. It's tough, man, because like in basketball, you could kind of like have the speculation. Same with baseball. But in trades for football, they just happen so so rare. So you know, I guess one that I could, you know, envision happening is Teddy Bridgewater, trading Teddy Bridgewater for a draft pick. But I guess a surprise would be maybe the Jets trying to go after like a stud left tackle. Do I want DRC on the Jets? I'm assuming you're talking about Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. I'm going to say no. I think our cornerbacks are set right now. Clemson Jacob, looks like he's a Saints fan. He says, I'm going to be so sad when Breeze retires. Yeah, man, it's going to be tough. I really feel like Breeze has been the engine of the New Orleans Saints. I love Peyton, and I love their playmakers right now with like Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and whatnot. They had an incredible season last year, but Drew Brees still has a lot of great ball left in him. So I don't think he's going to be retiring like this upcoming season. Let's see here. Valentine Outlaw. He's been I always see him down in the comment section of a lot of my videos. Huge shout out to him. What a diehard football fan, diehard Jet fan, great fan of the game. And he asked, what about Teddy? Any chance to start? I'm going to say, yeah, he definitely has a chance to start. I just don't know if he's going to get traded. You know, like if he does well, I feel like the Jets could try to deal him. Let's see. All right, I'm going to answer two more. Clemson Jacob says, who's your all-time favorite Jet? I'm going to go Chad Pennington. And I also love Revis and Cromartie back in the day as well. Josh McCown versus Sam Darnold in one-on-one basketball game. Who wins? RJ, great question. Because video surfaced, I forget when, but video surfaced of Josh McCown dominating, right? He was dominating in the league, like throwing alleys, catching alleys, really just cramming it down. I think he was hitting some threes as well. But Sam Darnold was also a great high school basketball prospect. So right now, I don't know if Sam has been practicing. I'm gonna go with Josh because I know I've seen recent tape of Josh McCown and he looks like a baller. So I'm gonna go McCown. Thoughts on Roger Goodell? I don't really have too many thoughts on Roger. I think he seems like a nice enough guy, and you know, uh, there's been a lot of talk right now, NFL versus NBA, which league is better, and I prefer the sport of football, so I always go with the NFL. Valentine says, "Much love, bro. One of the best Jets channels, bro. Thank you so much. Um, I really do appreciate everything you do for the channel." Anthony says, "Thanks for the live stream. You got to do more of these, bro. I'm planning on it. It's the off season. I love answering questions, and thank you so much for tuning in." So RJ says, "Thanks for answering, bro. No problem. I'm actually going to be signing out minute or an hour and 15 minutes." And Preston, thank you so much. Let's see. One more bonus question. Bill, JC, do you believe the rumors? Never mind. I'm not gonna do that one. Pigskin, later, man. I'll catch you later. RJ, later, dude. Philly, great stream. Don't do it yourself. Favorite college team? All right, that'll be the last question. Marshall, Thundering Herd. I like the Thundering Herd for football. I know they're not really a Power Five conference, or like they're not in the SEC or whatever. They're in the Conference USA. But I just like where they recruit. I like how they recruit, and I like the overall history of the school. So I'm gonna go with the Thundering Herd. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the live stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate everybody. And yeah, as always, thanks so much, and go Jets.